It's called the city of 10,000 lamps. It's called the city of 10,000 Buddhas. Started with the thought to bring enlightenment to every living thing. It's a place for cultivation. It's a place for transformation of the common one into the Bodhisattva.
It's the time of year to think about goodness, being good. So, of course, there's different levels of goodness depending on the motivation for being good. Like, if you're told to be good and you're good because you've been told to be good, it's not as good as being good because you're already feeling better, you're happier, and there's no option to be less than good because you're already more than good. We tend to think that if someone gives us a formula that if you're good, such and such will happen, you'll be happy and joyful and everything will come your way, then the motivation is somehow connected with desire to receive results. So this kind of goodness is limited to what you circumscribe yourself to believe in. It could be material things. It could be a nice family, prosperity, lack of enemies, and so forth. If you're good, you get what you want. So this kind of goodness is limited to our capacity to understand our limitations or lack of limitations. If have objective desires that we want to fulfill in life, that we feel will bring us happiness, and we're really good because we want those things. We want those desires fulfilled. If we are really good, then those desires will come our way. It's just the result of karma. But we limited ourselves by having our projections within the realm of desire. So, of course, the result of our goodness will yield what seeds we planted in our thought, and they all will be circumscribed by what we can hear, see, smell, taste, and feel. Somehow it will be connected with desire and our images, self-images of ourselves, our fame, our recognition by peers, our skills, and so forth, that attract the attention and company of those we wish to impress. So these are this is goodness connected and somehow with our own ambitions and desires. But that's not the kind of goodness that is taught by either Christ or the Buddha. The kind of goodness that we are taught, which is the aim of meditation and cultivating awareness, mindfulness, and so forth, is to use a worn out word, transcendental goodness, transcendental happiness, transcendental awareness. So what this means in practical terms is that we strive to, in our goodness, to realize something or an aspect of our mind that is not within the realm of our understanding and our inclinations, our aspirations, within the limits of our mental projections. We practice goodness to reach beyond that limitation that binds us to a view of a personal self and connect with an impersonal self. In other words, a more universal awareness and interconnectedness with all beings. So then, of course, if we do that, then everything is limitless. The fame of another we can enjoy as our own. The prosperity of another we can enjoy as our own. The fine belongings of another we can enjoy as our own, because we don't see a distinction between self and others. So obviously this is a very special kind of connectedness to all living beings, and it actually connectedness to the way things really are. What it means is that in meditation, we can experience all life, all happiness, all bliss by understanding our own mind, our own self that's not dependent on anything, but being inward turned. Because when we turn inward to the present of the mind, then we connect with everyone. When we look outward and seek things, then we disconnect from ourselves. Not to mention disconnecting from everyone else. So, what we want to do is connect with everybody else. Then interconnectedness of all beings is where true happiness lies. And separation from all beings is where all suffering lies. So to do that, we have to look at our motivation for meditating. Why? What do I expect to gain through meditation? What are my aspirations and inclinations and so forth? Look at these really carefully and then give them up and say, may my practice make of me what it will. May I be like a piece of clay that can be molded as the master magician chooses to mold me. When we cast aside all our wishes and work extremely hard, disciplining our food intake, our desire for things, and our wants and so forth, our aspirations for recognition from peers and so forth. When we give up on all of this, but work even harder, not accepting anything that comes our way that we recognize as a personal desire and indulging in that. But really give up everything and let go of all ambitions. Then we will see what we are really meant to be. And we won't have a hand in it. And the most wonderful thing is we won't want a hand in it. We will be ever grateful that we saw past wanting a hand in it. So if we understand that that's where it's at, working hard with no aim, nothing to achieve, no goal, but working very, very hard, going beyond what others can endure, and casting aside all what's offered along the way, not getting tricked into mediocre understanding or status or recognition by peers as the this or that great master or so forth, or recognition of peers as a Dharma practitioner or something. We don't want that. We want everything to be hidden and be nobody. Being nobody is really where it's at. That is the most difficult thing to do. If we're somebody, we really have problems. If we're nobody, we have given up those problems. So if we practice with the idea of having an open heart and openness of our being, willing to die in the last ditch and have a keen recognition of any taint of selfishness or self-seeking in our practice, but really giving it up. And giving it up to the extent that the heart becomes really open. And as Master Xuanhua often said, when everything is okay, everything is okay. No matter what burden is laid upon you, it's okay. That's really okay. That's how to practice the way, without any kind of preference or thinking, oh, it has to be this way, or my meditation practice has to be this way, or my breath mastery has to be this way, My yoga has to be this way. My conduct has to be this way. These are all preconceived forms, thought forms that are contrived, and they bind us. If we're really open and everything is okay, then whatever comes our way, no matter how difficult and how much we may feel to rebel against it, we'll see that, yes, I can do that. I can let go of my own ambitions and follow the more difficult way, the way that might go against my grain, the way I think things should be. If we can just let go of all of that, then there's no limit to our happiness. None whatsoever. And it won't be a lot of ha 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 and laughing and joking around and mind fluctuating between this and that, different attitudes changing by the moment. But there be an underlying sense of well-being, sense of who you are as a person. And that surety will run through every moment of our day if we get out of our own way and let the force of nature, Buddha nature, the Christ nature, flow through us, guiding us, and we letting go of our ambitions to go anywhere but follow that way that requires us to get out of the way, to let go and be open. If we do that, that's really goodness. That's true goodness. And where it takes us is completely unpredictable. It may take us into the householder life. It may take us so many different directions, it's impossible to imagine. We never know who the saint is. And to illustrate the point, I'll tell a little story about my own life that demonstrates that you never know who you're dealing with and their saintly qualities. And the monk may be a sinner, the nun may be a sinner, and the person that appears just as a simple farmer or a tradesman may be a saint. And you will see it in those people if your eyes are open. If you practice openness yourself, then you see it. But if you practice a phony idea of goodness or a contrived idea of goodness, the goodness that is good because you're told to be good and you'll get this reward. We're not a bunch of, suckers unless we don't do the work. If we don't want to do the work, then there's no other choice but to follow the rules because that's what it says to do. If you let go, then the way appears for you, and it may not go in a direction that you expect. The day after I arrived in Calcutta as a teenager, I had $2,000 I expected to last 2 years. And by chance, on the first day, I met a Bengali boy, a young boy who family allowed me to stay in their house. I went out the first morning in Calcutta with my $2,000 intending to change it into rupees. In that time, $2,000 was a lot of money, probably $20,000 today. And so I went into a handbag shop that was also a black market dealer, changing money. So his name was Chico, and I said, Chico, can you change this money for me? And I gave him the $2,000. He counted it. He says, it's so much money, I can't change it today. But if you come back tomorrow, I'll have the money for you. He had a tiny bag shop in a place called New Market in Calcutta, a sprawling place with little tiny 10 by 10 shacks selling all sorts of stuff. Everything from food and cheeses and fruits and vegetables, handbags, cloth, saris, jewelry, everything. He said, come back tomorrow, I'll have the money for you. I went back to the house I was staying, and as soon as I told him what I had done, Clifford, he said, you'll never see that money again. You were absolutely crazy to give that kind of money to anyone. But it was my first day in India, and I always have been a very trustful person. And Clifford said to me, well, we'll go tomorrow morning, and I'll do my best to threaten him with police action and so forth. But even his shop probably won't be there. So the following morning, Clifford and we went to New Market together, and Clifford was all fired up. I walked into the shop, and I said, can I have my money, Chico? And without a word, Chico gave me all the money. I don't remember how much it was at the time. I think it was about 100,000 rupees or something. And Clifford was completely stunned. He didn't have to say one single word. But I said something to Chico. I said, Chico, you could have just gone off, left your shop and gone off and lived very comfortably for quite some time with this money. Why didn't you just take it, Chico? And Chico pointed to a small photo amongst his handbags, a small photo of a Indian saint, saintly looking Indian. And he had some flowers in front of it and a little incense burning there. Typical Indian shrine that will immediately go up in any establishment any Indian opens the first day. And Chico pointed to that little shrine and he said, that's my guru. And my guru has taught me never to steal. So there you have it. Here's a black market merchant. He wouldn't steal a penny. That's called integrity. Now you say, well, so monks don't steal. But monks aren't black market dealers. And it's true that many monks don't steal. At least they don't steal blatantly. If Chico had taken my money, that would be blatant stealing. But there's other kinds of stealing. Sometimes people will put on a very nice face and appear as very genuine and cause others to offer respect for them by their appearance. And those people may even make offerings to those people. And this is very common, but those people that appear so magnificent and we impute upon them so much holiness, they may just, in effect, be doing the same thing as stealing from the faithful that follow them. And this cannot be denied as having any kind of integrity. Others may not call it stealing, but it is, in fact, stealing. It's deceiving, deceptive. And it destroys the character of a person, no matter how wonderful they may appear. So, if we want to avoid being deceptive, we should never appear as other than we are. I may as well tell another story here since it comes to mind. There was a great meditation master in recent times that I knew of. And he had a donor that would come every month or so, at a certain day every month, and make offerings to him. So knowing that donor was coming this particular day, the yogi, the meditation master, he fixed up his room really nice and made everything really clean, and he cleaned his altar very well. A little background here helps, because people that meditate all the time and meditate a lot, they don't usually have a clean altar. And in fact, often their altar is completely filthy. And they make offerings every day, but they don't clean it. And the reason is they're meditating all the time. They don't think about it. And this is very common. I've seen this often. They're not responsible to have a good altar and so forth, because they're not maintaining a temple. It's a private shrine. And they're forgiven by the gods and goddesses, at least they think so, if they allow their shrine to be less than tidy. Anyway, this yogi's was a typical yogi altar, but knowing his teacher was coming, knowing his donor was coming, he started cleaning the altar, and he got about halfway through cleaning the altar when he introspected for a moment and saw the falseness of it all. And he took a bunch of ash from the incense burner and threw it all over the altar and turned over the water bowls, and it made a complete mess out of the altar. And then he sat in meditation, and the donor came, and he saw the altar in complete disarray, and he just stormed out of there. So that's a true cultivator. We have to see our own falseness, our own motivation. And so whether we're a monk or a lay person, it really doesn't matter as far as inner purity goes and knowing our own motivation. And we cannot be deceived by our role in life as a person of high esteem. If we know inside our heart is less than pure, then we should never hide that. We should never hide our heart. Yeah, it may be painful. We may give up a lot, and we may suffer a lot because of it. But we'll suffer far less than our own negative karma from the theft, the deceit involved with presenting a face that's not true. So we have to be true to others and true to ourselves. And if we do that, that's really true goodness. That's really goodness. So we can take goodness to any level we want. It's up to us. We have unlimited potential as human beings. We could be good because we're told to be good, and it's a good thing to be good. Or we can practice goodness that may not even appear to be good. Like Chico. I mean, to everybody else, and myself included, and certainly Clifford, he was a black market money man. And those are people that, have a very bad reputation. But in truth, Chico's heart was really pure. And that purity is not lessened to any extent by his appearance. Whereas many people appear to be pure, but that appearance is in itself a theft, because it's deceiving and cheating others into believing they are what they are not. So in our striving for goodness, we want to be very clear about what kind of goodness we want, what our aim is, and we should try and lift that bar as high as possible. And we have to start somewhere. There's no denying that, a gradated path is valueless. It isn't valueless. It has a great value. But we have to understand it's something that we have that can be an obstacle if we drag it along and limit it ourselves by our own projections of what we can achieve. What we can achieve is limitless. So if we keep that in mind, we won't attach to our goodness or our appearance of goodness. We won't let that be a hindrance, and we will practice the enlightened way to our full potential, and not get caught up in the ritual of appearing a certain way and getting confused by your own appearance. We won't get confused like that, because we will know that the truth is not how we appear, but how we are inside of ourselves. And if we are at peace and know we are really truly practicing that everything is okay that comes our way, that is the true mark of a practitioner. And it may appear in any form. So we should learn from everybody. We should, in our own conduct, teach everybody. Be an example and be true to ourselves. And that's where it's at.